Welcome in and good morning, Wisconsin. This is Lucas Kirchner here on this special coverage here on Kirch's Corner, brought to you not on a usual Monday morning, but rather on a Wednesday morning, and for good reason. In case you didn't know, yesterday was chaos in Milwaukee. So, with that being said, let's recap that. If you listened in on Monday, you can recall that the Bucks re-signed Bobby Portis, Taurean Prince. I mean, things were going right. Bobby Portis on a good value deal. And after that night, there were rumors that the Bucks were looking to make a big deal, that something big was going to happen. Fast forward to the next morning. I'll take you through this through my mind. But before that, we want to talk about Kevin Porter Jr. and Gary Trent Jr., both on great contracts. Kevin Porter Jr., 2 years, $11 million. Gary Trent Jr., 2 years, $7.5 million. Both are great value. We're feeling good, and that just reinforces that little idea that something big is going to happen. They're saving money. They're making great deals. Then this fateful day comes. I'm at work in a meeting, and I check my phone. I see Miles Turner signs 4 years, $107 million. Assumed it was for the Pacers. Took one more look and was shocked to see that the Bucks made this deal with Miles Turner. A division rival is coming to Milwaukee in the form of a great center, a veteran that has shown a lot of great play throughout his career. Now, immediately, you got to think, okay, but how are we affording that? The Bucks are in no cap space to make a deal like that with a star. So then you kind of think, okay, probably Kuzma and Connaughton traded out to make room for Turner. And in that time that I saw that, and I went to my desk after the meeting, probably about 5 minutes, I opened my phone, and what do I see? I see Damian Lillard breaking. He has been waived by the Milwaukee Bucks, released, with his contract spread across the next 5 years in a buyout. $20 million in dead cap per year to pay Damian Lillard. And this was probably the biggest shocker in the NBA this year if Luka Doncic was still on the Mavericks. This would be the biggest shock. I don't think a single person in the world saw this coming. And it was just such a huge move that kind of caught you off guard. There's your big guy that you traded for, you sold out for, he's gone, nothing for him. You're paying him to not be on the team. But you have Miles Turner. Okay, great. So after that shocking deal, they followed up. Pat Connaughton traded to the Charlotte Hornets with 2 second-rounders for Vasilije Micic. And at first glance, you think, okay, hopefully Micic will be a great asset. After a few minutes, you find out that Micic is actually going back to Europe. He doesn't want to play NBA basketball anymore. So essentially, they bought out Micic's contract to free up cap space, along with the additional cap that they freed by trading Pat Connaughton in the first place. Even that would have been enough for one of the biggest days in Bucks free agency history. They followed that up. They signed Gary Harris, 2 years, $7.45 million. Following that, they signed Jericho Sims, league minimum 2-year deal. And after that, later today, we saw that Ryan Rollins' qualifying offer was rescinded. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Lucas, you just said about 10 different things. What do any of them mean? All these deals, these things going on, what does it mean for the actual team? Okay, I hear you. I'm here to tell you. Let's start off with the beginning. Before this huge move happened, Kevin Porter Jr., 2 years, $11 million. Fantastic deal. As it stands, amazing value, and he'll be the starting point guard for the depth chart right now. That's what it is. And I have a lot of faith in him on the Rockets. He was putting up about 20 points per game with 5 or 6 assists a game. Obviously, not nearly as good of a team that he's on now, but still, he's very productive. Put on 11 points per game on an average about 19 minutes a night last season when he was on the Bucks. He's very good on the floor. At times, he's been the only offense for the Bucks. Then you follow it up with Gary Trent Jr. on probably the best value contract I have ever seen. Gary Trent Jr., 2 years, $7.5 million across 2 years. Less than Kevin Porter Jr. I mean, I don't even know how they managed to get him to take this deal other than maybe he wants to compete. This is such a great value for Milwaukee. This is a robbery. He is so much better than $7.5 million a year, let alone over 2 years. I think he's one of the most slept on stars, not stars, I'd say. Something above a role player, about a starting player. He's really good. He's an asset. And I think going into a larger role next year, him and Kevin Porter Jr. are going to show that they're worth a lot more than $18 million combined. Then you follow it up. Miles Turner, he'll be great. We know that Miles Turner's a great player. He's a proven veteran. We're not taking a gamble. He can stretch the floor. He's a 2-time leader in blocks in the NBA. He brings another great paint presence in the defensive scheme for Milwaukee and another big to stretch the floor. And you really can't complain about that. A lot of people wanted Miles Turner. That was a big talking point. I didn't think he would leave Indiana, but rumors come out that allegedly Indiana was lowballing him, which caused him to look elsewhere. And that elsewhere just happens to be on the Bucks, where I think he'll be a great fit. He's replacing Brook Lopez and more. But it's in question whether he's going to be worth that $107 million across these later stages of his career. He's 30 years old. So we'll see. And of course, you lose Damian Lillard. A lot of people were sad, upset, angry about this deal. Understandably so. Damian Lillard's that guy that you were going to build your franchise around for the next 5 years. Things didn't turn out that way. A torn Achilles at this stage of his career is potentially career-ending for Damian Lillard. The way that the NBA works, you cannot operate on a feelings basis. You have to treat it like it's a business. And that's what Milwaukee did. They're letting Damian Lillard go because if they don't, they are signing their contract to not be competitive in the playoffs. When you say, okay, we're going to wait for Damian Lillard to come back. Yeah, the Bucks could make the playoffs, maybe the play-in, maybe they'd actually get a seed. But you're signing a deal to say we're just going to wait. We don't want to compete yet. And as a front office, I don't think you can take that standpoint, especially with all the pressure that's on with, Giannis, he wants to leave. We all know that's not true, but still. And Giannis entering these later stages, entering his 30s, who knows what could happen. You have to set a standard, and that standard is they want to win right now. And they're doing the best they can with what they have. And in terms of people saying, they screwed over Damian Lillard. Sure, they let him go with the torn Achilles. But Damian Lillard was elated when he found out this deal that he had. He got waived. And he's getting paid every single year for 5 years. On a Bobby Bonilla type deal for the Mets, he's getting paid to not play on the Bucks for 5 years. So $20 million a year he's already getting paid. So his next team can forget about the money. They can sign him on a minimum and he'd be happy with the money he's getting just from us. He can go to any contender he wants. I'm sure that he's doing just fine. And people need to realize this hurt the Bucks more than it hurt Damian Lillard. You're paying him a lot of money to not be here. But that's just the risk you take with where you're at. Then you follow it up. Pat Connaughton. I think a lot of people saw that coming. He opted into his player option. Nobody wanted to pay that $9 million to Pat Connaughton to play 10 minutes a game. Not a single person. You don't love trading him and 2 second-rounders already with the lack of draft picks. But you do love freeing up about $9-10 million in cap space that they needed to actually bring Miles Turner on. They still needed to free up more. And still they're freeing up more space to present more options. They don't need Pat Connaughton anymore. Love him forever. He helped win that championship, but they don't need him. At the 2 guard, they are stacked right now. Gary Trent, AJ Green. And then later, they signed Gary Harris. Pat Connaughton's spot was gone the minute he opted into that player option. Even behind them, Andre Jackson Jr. They're stacked at the wing. They don't need any help there. They signed Gary Harris, 2 years, $7.45 million. I like that. It's nothing crazy. You're not going to write home about it, but Gary Harris is a nice player to have. He's played with some great teams. He's a good scorer. I think that's a great bench player to have. Jericho Sims, that's the youth. That's the little bit of youth that Milwaukee has on a league minimum for 2 years. Getting that lob threat off the bench, being a backup center, I think he could turn out to be something much more than people expect. And that's a lot to look forward to. And then they rescind the qualifying offer for Ryan Rollins, so he's still a restricted free agent. So any deal that he might want to sign, the Bucks can just match that and take him. Essentially, he is just under jurisdiction of Milwaukee no matter what. Unless they don't want to sign him, they can let him go. You'd love to have Ryan Rollins back. He showed some great flashes towards the end of last year, filling in for Lillard. I think him and Kevin Porter Jr. could play those point guard minutes and they would be just fine. So overall, one of the busiest days in Milwaukee's offseason history. And as it stands, I think they might, it looks like they're gearing up for another big deal. I assume they want another point guard. People are looking to trade Kuzma. A lot of deals I've seen, they involve Kuzma and Andre Jackson, just one of those younger guys that you can give away. And the only place they're short right now is really just at point guard, which I think even a veteran minimum point guard would be fine. I think they could survive on that. It might not be your ideal, but you don't have to lose too much sleep over that. So you could have Kevin Porter Jr. or another point guard at the 1. At the 2, you've got Gary Trent, AJ Green, Gary Harris, Andre Jackson. At the 3, currently it's Kyle Kuzma, although I'd put him on the bench personally. I'd sadly start Taurean Prince, put Kuz behind him. You still have Andre Jackson to fill in there too. At the 4, you've always got Giannis. You've got Bobby Portis behind him, playing high six-man minutes. And then at the 5, you have 7-footer Miles Turner, and you got Jericho Sims and Bobby Portis behind him too. This is a good team. This is better than what they had in the playoffs last year, essentially minus Ryan Rollins. Last year in the playoffs, Damian Lillard was gone, and they were competing with the team that went to the finals. You can't expect that much. They have retooled in a major way, and I wouldn't be surprised if they make another deal. Overall, this was a pretty good day for the Bucks. Sad to see Damian Lillard go, but I think it was the right decision, and the team is showing a lot of promise. It gave me about 5 more heart attacks than I wanted to have today, but ultimately, it was a great day for the Bucks. John Horst has been a maniac in this free agency, and I think it's ultimately for the Bucks good. I think great things are going to come from this. And like I said, if this wasn't such a big deal, I wouldn't be sitting here recording on, a Wednesday. I'm an every Monday kind of guy, but when something like this happens, I'm giving you special coverage. I'm breaking down what this means. You see so many headlines, people saying this and that, but this is what's going on as of right now. So if anything happens before this releases, just know I recorded it before then. I didn't miss anything, but I think the Bucks are in good hands. There were a lot of moves today, and it was very complicated. But with the lineup they have, I think they will be competitive. Maybe not, definitely not as competitive as they were with Damian Lillard. Let's get that out of the way. That's not going to happen. But even with some moves left to go, this team is looking solid. I think they could kind of mesh together a new play style that could make them close to or as good as they were last year. And certainly they're already better than they were in the playoffs against Indiana. So don't panic. This was a good day. Crazy day. But the Bucks are retooling. This is what you want. You don't want them to sit idly by and watch their championship window leave. Giannis is a walking championship. All you need to do is put the right pieces around him. We've seen the Indiana Pacers. they almost won the championship. They were probably an Achilles away from winning. They don't have a star player like Giannis. I know it's a bad comparison, but still, teams aren't built like super teams anymore. Teams that are going to the finals aren't big threes. They're not typical to the Wade, Bosh, LeBron. They're not typical to the Garnett, Pierce, Ray Allen. They're typical to teams that are built very well, that can score, that can play fast defense. They don't need another big star to win. Although, it would be fantastic to have that, but this is where we're at. And the way the league is changing, this team right now is built for the salary cap. They're saving a lot of money, and that's huge. So again, relax, take a deep breath, keep an eye on the free agency still. Things could still happen, but overall, crazy day for Milwaukee. I'll see you back on Monday here on Kirch's Corner, unless something ridiculous happens, or we'll get back to talking about the Bucks, Brewers, Packers. So until then, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.